From what we were given on the gameplay, Miles is in for a fight. What's up, YouTubers of the world? MegaGeekMixer here to give you guys a breakdown of the gameplay demo that we got just yesterday of Spider-Man Miles Morales, which comes out on the PS5. I also heard it might also come out on the PS4, but there will be some differentiations there. I don't know much on that end. Besides, this is all about breaking down what we saw in the gameplay, so let's get to it. First off, we were told by his name was Brian, if I'm not mistaken. Basically, he said this takes place a year after the previous game. They said it wasn't supposed to be a direct sequel, but in some ways you kind of see it as a sequel, or maybe a loosely based off sequel. I don't know, but either way, they're saying that it's still connected to the previous Spider-Man game, and it makes sense considering how Miles was in that one. And if you do look at him in this new game, you can see differentiations from him from there to what he was like in the previous game. And they did a good job in showing some age growth there, because it's been a year, so you would want to see a little bit of differentiation there, such as he's cut his hair, and yeah, when you look at his face, it looks like it matured a little for a year. And yes, he is living with his mother now, but he's also seeming to also have a friend with him who knows about his identity. From the looks of things, this might be Genki, because if any of y'all have read the comics, you know Genki is his best friend and the first person he ever told about when he got his Spider-Man powers. So the bare fact that we're going to have Genki in this, I would like to hope we can see him play other roles in the game, besides just being that friend of yours. Like, if I'm not mistaken, Genki also helped him with some of his technologies, such as how he didn't have web fluids at first, but when he got them, Genki was the one who helped him learn how to make it and learn how to keep making it whenever he ran out. But we'll see how it all goes on that end. However, I am interested to know that now in this one, that he's not living in the same city that Peter Parker was living in. He has now moved to Harlem with his mother, Rio Morales, and the mere fact that they said Harlem, I just went and started thinking Luke Cage. So I'm not saying that I'm believing Luke Cage will show up, but just imagine if he does show up, considering Harlem's his town. At least that's what I'm taking off of it from Netflix. I think that'd be cool. Luke Cage and Miles Morales teaming up for a bit to take out a crime boss or something. I would love that. I think that would be really cool. And and I mentioned his mom. Well, in this one, his mom, Rio Morales, has decided she's going to be going for mayor. She's getting into politics and wants to be mayor in Harlem. Well, I must say, that one really surprised me. I mean, even Miles was surprised about it, saying, like, it feels weird. My mom was a teacher and now she's trying to be mayor and stuff. It would be kind of funny for someone's parent to go from there to that. I think that's just a little adjustment going on right there. But that's all within the personal things of what has been going on with Miles. But by the way, another shot we were shown here was a gameplay of what the walkthrough looks like as he and Genki are walking through to go to that rally that his mother's about to have. And I gotta say, when you look at that game, first off, Insomniac, yeah, it took a minute to remember that, but Insomniac Games, they do an amazing job with their animations and gameplays and make everything look very realistic, from that snow that's falling to when Miles and Genki are walking past. You see these people dancing and stuff, and I like the animation they have of them dancing. It actually looks very real right there, and that's one of the things we've always loved about the Spider-Man game, at least from Insomniac, is that you are actually Spider-Man. The way you move, the way you fight, everything, you are Spider-Man, and that's what I love about it. And we do get to see it here in the gameplay, but I'm saving that for the ending right here. We got to keep breaking it down as we go here. What we were later on given by Brian was him saying that, as he said, a year has passed, and while his mother's trying to start a rally, she's also being supported by a group known as Roxxon, an organization known as Roxxon. And if any of you guys have read the comics, you know what Roxxon is, at least in the Ultimate Universe, and how it relates to Miles. The owner of the Roxxon Corporation back in the Ultimate Universe is the reason Miles got his powers, because they hired his uncle, the Prowler, who I hope is in this game too, because it would only make sense to me. I mean, the Prowler is his #1 enemy, like his #1 big time enemy, kind of like how Spider-Man's had Kingpin, he had Green Goblin, and he had Dr. Octopus. Well, while Miles doesn't have 3 main arch enemies, one of them has always been the Prowler, that being his uncle. And I would like to believe that he is in this game, and they're just saving him like as a secret boss, like for this Roxxon organization versus this other organization that they're in a war against, are called the Underworld, and their leader being the Tinkerer. I would like to think he's working behind the scenes as the boss of one of them. If I were a betting man, I'd probably say the Underworld, because the Underworld is trying to actually take away something from the Roxxon Corporation, which is an energy corporation. And then this is where we get into the gameplay, where it takes place at Breakaway Bridge, and we are revealed in the fact that what we are seeing in that cutscene of the gameplay, before we start seeing the gameplay itself of all the action, is that I think we are revealed to us the object of the story plot for this game, just like how it was in the previous game. I forget what the object was, something about a mutation or something. I can't remember off the top of my head what that was, but basically we're getting the same thing here, except this time it's something called Newfound, a new energy source made by Roxxon. And what I did notice here is that when they're getting it and Spider-Man's trying to stop it, his Venom Blast accidentally supercharges some of them, that it creates an explosion. But one of them that was taken by the Tinkerer, if you look at it, it's not only red. Now when you first look at it and she's taking it out of the container of the truck, it's red, but the inside of it's all normal. But after it was hit by the Venom Blast, you can notice that it's supercharged. So that must mean that it got supercharged. Now that's not or better yet, let me put it this way. It looks like it's supercharged, but we don't know exactly. But from the looks of it, it is, and it'll end up having an effect. And who knows if it could be a positive effect or a negative effect, or maybe both, in a way that the Tinkerer can find a much better use for than what they were originally planning for. That it can make some more super villains or super weapons, stuff like that. That's what I'm getting off of it when it comes to this new object that's supposed to move the story plot forward, and that's Newfound. Now I say all this in speculation. Now, it's not confirmed. This is all speculation, guys, as I'm breaking down the gameplay. But now we gotta get on into the gameplay here, where we got to see Spider-Man's powers, Miles Morales' powers. And first off, now as we know in the previous game, Spider-Man Peter Parker, he's a science guy and he's a tech kid, so he was able to come up with all sorts of techs for his spider suits and everything. Miles doesn't really have that. He really has Genki, who helps him out with that. But this is where at least they show us where the differentiation, and Peter Parker's fighting style as Spider-Man is different from Miles Morales' power as Spider-Man. As we saw in this gameplay, he's able to fight just like Peter Parker, all the punching, agile jumping and stuff, and using his web shooters to do matrix effects and matrix attacks. But not only that, it also shows us his Venom Blast can go in conjunction with his fighting style. As you look at the game, you can see him using it in many different ways, such as using it to make a shock explosion that sends many who are in his surroundings up there and stun him a bit so he can knock them all out, or he charges the Venom Blast himself and then launches him at an opponent like a missile. And then there's also the one that Spider-Man did with the web, coming down and hitting hard on the ground to make it look like a big quake. Well, that's something we got here with Miles with his Venom Blast, going down supercharging and being ready to shock the ground. Oh, I love that. And that's just one of the few things we're seeing with this whole breakdown of the gameplay, and I love it. But I think the most part that I was happy about and completely forgot about at first was the camouflage. I can't wait to see how we get to use that camouflage. We got to see a little of it as he used it, and he pretty much moved around until he got in a good spot where he jumps up and then attacks one of them from above. But I would like to think we could use more with the camouflage of Miles' powers, and I really hope we do get to that because I would love to see more of that. But that's pretty much all I got from breaking down this trailer. The big one comes from it and the fact that this new object, newfound, one that gets supercharged by one that Tinkerer got and accidentally was supercharged by the Venom Blast, I believe that's going to have some big effects to move the plot forward, such as maybe giving the Tinkerer some new weapons that are even more powerful than their usual weapons, or give us some of the enemies like we got with the whole Sinister Six and everything, but just a new sort of characters, or maybe some we have seen. It's been a while since I've read many of the Miles Morales comics that I don't know many of his enemies like I used to. The only one I can remember off the top of my head is Prowler and the Roxxon Corporation as being his enemies. Maybe. Oh, and something came to my mind here just now. Now this guy is always all over the place, and that's Taskmaster. Taskmaster. Oh, my head. I'm losing my mind, guys. What's wrong with me? But you guys know who I'm talking about. The Taskmaster. Now, he was in the last game. I would like to hope he's in this game too, but plays more of a bigger role because in the last game, he was just kind of that guy who appears after you finish a small objective, like a side quest, which no doubt we're going to get lots of this in this game here. But this one's all about talking about the main story, but I would like to hope he could be in the main story because Taskmaster, awesome character right there, and I just like it if Miles went up against him. But then there's also the fact, as I said, the Prowler. Somehow I feel he'll be the final villain, and he's the one who we really have to fight to finish the main storyline, because I feel like he's working things from behind the scenes, like maybe the leader of the underworld. Like it says Tinkerer is the leader, but what if that's just the public leader and not the leader in the shadows? The same could go for Roxxon. Maybe he's working for Roxxon. Who knows? Or maybe he's not working for any of them and he's just preparing things behind the scenes himself. I would like to hope so. And I also can't wait to see more of what it'll give us with Rio Morales and Genki. And like I said, it'd be cool if we could have Luke Cage and maybe a side quest or something like that. It would definitely be fun. But that's pretty much all I'm breaking down here, right, with what we got with the gameplay. And still, guys, I am excited for it. I am enjoying this. I cannot wait. I have already got my pre-order set for the PS5. And I'm gonna be waiting for that pre-order on the Spider-Man game because that's one of my first games to get here, and I no doubt it's going to be some of yours too because this is the sequel to the Insomniac game of Spider-Man, and that game was lit. It was super lit, so no doubt this one's got to be lit too. But until then, guys, I'm going to go ahead and leave it all at that, and hey, if you're enjoying my videos, all you got to do is click that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to be notified when I make more videos, and until then, MegaGeekMixer signing out. Bye!